How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a Kasparas Jakucionis breakdown of his game at Northwestern. He was so good in this one. Shout out to Kashigi as always for the cut up. Show him some love and drop a subscribe, like, comment if you like the video. All that stuff really helps. I know it's probably annoying, but I appreciate all of you so much. And I really appreciate Jakucionis, who I currently think is the third best prospect in this class behind Dylan Harper or Cooper Flying Dylan Harper, and his handle in tight spaces, right? So freaking good. Look at the way that he throws his dribble. So he takes his step right here. He throws his dribble out here. His next step or next dribble is up here. Like, he covers so much space, then flicks that in with a little scoop shot. That ability to handle in tight spaces and to push and control the ball in traffic, really great for his driving. Even though he's not like the most explosive athletic guy, I think he's a good enough driver, and we'll get to that. Jakucionis just has an uncanny ability to draw fouls, and he's not able to like wedge any space from a much bigger, stronger defender, but Jakucionis still able to keep a decently straight pass to the rim and draw a foul right there. He is a very good foul drawer. As I said, free throw rate's quite high overall. He does have kind of a nasty habit of like picking up the ball when he doesn't create space. This is another actually great example of that throw out dribble where Jakucionis like is right here and throws the ball out all the way to here to get into space. And again, the spacing isn't great. I don't know how much of it is a burst issue there, or how much of it is a spacing issue or an aggression issue. Kasparas has had some moments early in the season where he just wasn't shooting, but as you can see right there, he's been more confident as of late, and especially in this game, shooting off the dribble, which we'll get to. That is like one of his main kind of bonuses or traits as a prospect, and this is a really nice play, even though he doesn't score. Kasparas, multiple counters on this play, which I really appreciate, because a lot of young handlers don't have these, where he tries to step back, defender doesn't bite, Kasparas tries to fake and go to the right, that doesn't work, gets cut off. So Kasparas spins back to the left, or back to the right there, excuse me. Doesn't end up scoring that little floater, but he has great touch, and I think that's a good example of his ability to get downhill and create. And he was absolutely on fire on these step backs. His pull-up shooting was incredible before college, and we've seen it in flashes, but this was the game where it really broke out. Like, his ability to hit shots off of a side step, really high level. And Jakucionis' combination of off-dribble shooting, size, and truly elite passing, which we'll get to me make him a guy with real star upside. That's a trio of traits that is just really important to have for initiators. Good job skying in there. Almost gets that rebound. I always appreciate the effort there for Kasparas Jakucionis. Great job snaking, or trying to snake this pick and roll. And again, we see the foul drawing. He's just kind of hard to catch because of his handle and because of how slippery he seems to be. Even though Jakucionis, like I said, isn't the quickest guy, and really good jumper here off movement. See, it's not just pull-up threes, excuse me. Jakucionis can pull off of movement and hit these shots lightly off of screens, which just adds value and helps him fit next to other ball-dominant players, right? If Jakucionis doesn't have the ball, he can simply be an effective off-ball shooter because he's willing to take catch and shoots, and he's really effective. And yeah, with the big switched on, he's going to fry with these step backs. Jakucionis creates so much space here. Look at him stab his foot really, really hard right here. That forces the big to respect his drive and recover back, opening up just enough space for Jakucionis to get that shot off. He's one of those guys where he isn't like a pass-first player, no doubt, but when Jakucionis gets hot, he can really get going. But here's a pretty good example of some of his limitations, where he's not the most explosive guy in the world. He just can't seem to turn the corner, and like I said, his tendency here is to pick up the ball and kind of like survey, maybe looking for this pass or something, but he's not maintaining his flexibility and his bend and getting all the way to the basket here. He's choosing to kind of... I don't like that decision-making process particularly. I do think he can be a little bit more decisive as a driver at times, and I mean, like, if that one went in, oh my lord, we're going to overtime, which means more fun Kasparas plays here. It was one of those nights where it felt like Kasparas was never going to miss, and he made a lot of the shots in this game, and some of them just so impressive. His ability to step back, create space. Again, this is NBA level guard stuff. Again, we note this hard stab with the right foot, which creates that backwards momentum for Jakucionis to step into that three. Great off of the hop, incredibly smooth, fluid mechanics, as you can see. It's all one motion, really compact, and Jakucionis, good job getting downhill there, but ends up getting blocked. That's just going to happen for a guy like him who's not the most vertically explosive player in the world. He's pretty tall, but he's definitely not crazy explosive vertically. And nice skip pass over the top there. We can see that even though Jakucionis doesn't have the elite height to see over defenses, with a jump pass, he can loop it over to his Trey White in the corner, who ends up extending the play and all of that. But Jakucionis is a very, very good ball handler, even though there are some ball control mistakes. So on a play like this, we can see him kind of get dug out right there. But I do really like the behind the back here initially, stopping on a dime. And again, the spacing on that play isn't great. Ivicic kind of sitting in his pocket right there, and simple lift pass. Oh, this looks painful. I don't think I've ever seen a lower body mechanics quite like Will Riley. So I like Will Riley quite a lot. He was good in this game, but that just doesn't look comfortable. I don't know. I don't worry a ton about shot mechanics for young prospects. Another example of Jakucionis picking up the ball that I'm not a huge fan of and then results in a turnover. Definitely a habit that I think should hopefully improve and definitely needs to improve, because Jakucionis, a lot of really good ball handling prospects can't do it as much at this age because of strength and ball control issues, where Jakucionis can get bumped off of the ball because he is an 18-year-old at this point, and he's not perfect when it comes to his ball control. But as you can see, the flashes of his ability to navigate the court with his handle are really high level. So for the long term, I'm not super worried. And that's a beautiful pass right there over top. As all great passers do, he's not just passing to where Ivicic is now, he's passing to where Ivicic is going, and that's into this space in the paint. Beautiful little lead pass right there, and ends up getting a great shot on that play, which, doesn't get an assist or anything for Jakucionis, but we are, of course, going to note the excellent play. And he's just someone I really trust with the ball in his hands as a decision maker. Really tight window here as this guy steps up to deter the drive, and Jakucionis could pass the corner, but he sees that the little slip pass, and he's comfortable making live dribble passes into pretty tight windows, which is not a super common skill for playmakers at this age, especially ones that are 6'4", 6'5", and even some of Jakucionis' turnovers I don't mind. He's clearly trying this tight window pass that would have probably gotten a layup or free throws if it got through. So to me, ultimately worth the risk in terms of the long-term outlook. Great little connective pass. Jakucionis' connective passing is great. He's not just a pick and roll ball hog, right? So to combine with his shooting and a lot of pro style actions in this Illinois offense, which I do really like, that we see Jakucionis running these high spread pick and rolls, and the fact that he's as comfortable as he is against pressure to me is really encouraging. Northwestern was sending two at him because of his scoring, right? So Jakucionis just backs up, isn't deterred by the hedge at all, and whips it down to Merez Johnson, who ends up getting a pretty good look and scoring in the post right there. So Jakucionis, that's another component of the dribbling, the ball handling to me, is handling pressure. Such an important trait for any primary ball handler. Hopeful, you have to be able to handle defensive attention at a high level, and you can just see Jakucionis is carving up the defense as a pick and roll passer. Not all of them are resulting in assists, but you can clearly see that he's the one initiating these advantages and just makes all of the right simple decisions. Such a good decision maker, and as a passer is not really turning the ball over. His turnovers are very handler related, or he'll try those kind of tight window ones, but he's not making mistakes per se, I would say, very often. Another example of this kind of modern NBA-ish Illinois offense, where they have a guard screening here to make this defender's life harder. He's going to slip, and Kasparas is going to find that tight window right there over top, and Boswell doesn't end up finishing. Another robbed assist. Quite a few robbed potential assists for Kasparas Jakucionis in this one. Maybe he could have hit the roll on this play. No, I mean, that makes sense, where this defender is kind of sunk into the paint right here. He probably could have picked either one, and maybe he could have fit it in over the top right there and gotten a better look at his shot right there. But anyways, I think still this was a fantastic playmaking game for Jakucionis, and just another beautiful play where he doesn't create separation, right? Another really nice, they're going to the guard screening here, which I absolutely love. Jakucionis rejects it, can't get all the way downhill. again, look at where he tries to spin back. I think he just starts his moves too early sometimes and doesn't take as straight angles as maybe he should. He's more rounded of a driver on this play right here, right? Instead of trying to go straight. And he definitely doesn't have the strength or kind of explosion. And definitely a little concerned about his lack of like twitch off of the dribble. I do think that limits him to some extent as a driver and a slasher, but because of everything else he does well, I remain very optimistic. Defense is certainly a work in progress for Jakucionis, as it is for a lot of freshman guards. He is not great on that, but not necessarily so worried about Jakucionis' defense, but screens are a big issue for him. Like, he just gets walled off by good picks, and he always fights to recover. Like, he has a high motor, he tries really hard on defense, but it's just not necessarily there with the physical tools and with the strength, which is, again, part of why I'm optimistic about him, because this is something that most young players, especially ones who end up being stars, improve on. You can see on a play like this, he fights over the screen, ends up staying attached. Like, he's pretty quick and fluid, so these are all traits that Jakucionis can lean on. It's just that I need this to stop doing this. But Jakucionis getting through these screens at a decent level on in this game, actually, this was maybe one of his better defensive games. I would say he wasn't like good on defense in this game, but there were plenty of moments where he's going to get scored on right here by a taller defender, but Jakucionis is really impressive, like staying attached, fighting over, not giving up on the play, trying his best to contest, and forces that's a tough lefty floater, like not an easy shot to make right there. So Jakucionis, even when he's giving up buckets, which is of course a problem, he's too easy to shoot over. He is always trying to recover and get back into the play, which that's a foundation, right? Like that you have his quickness and his fluidity and his ability to move around the court. Really poor pick and roll point of attack defense, like way too forward on his toes. Ends up giving up a very easy lane right there. A lot of the technique stuff, but again, this is stuff that a lot of players end up correcting, and you can see the lateral quickness there, cutting off. Ends up kind of getting beat by the screen right there, but no harm, no foul on the missed shot right there. This time guarding a bit of like a little slip, guarding in the post, he's going to get shot over and scored on. But again, he's defending about as well as you can. And yes, his size and the fact that teams are going to be able to send guys to shoot over him isn't a good thing, and there is certainly a ceiling on his defense. But again, when you have a guy who's a smart off-ball player, competes hard, chases, and always fights to recover even when he gets beat initially, like Jakucionis is going to make some plays because of his effort, and you don't always see that in these high-level scoring prospects. And this was a really good job of kind of getting skinny, popping his hips over this screen, keeping his front foot in front of the action so he can kind of cut off with his right leg there. So there are flashes, and this is, like I said, probably one of the better defensive games I've seen from him in a minute. He had a block, he had a steal. Again, just totally walled off by that screen. I do think that's going to be maybe the biggest obstacle for him at the NBA level immediately. He's just really going to struggle when it comes to these big, burly screeners, because that's already a big problem for him in college. But like I said before, as we keep on saying, hopefully this strength improvement can be an important thing for him. But Jakucionis, again, defending in the post, going to get spun on. It is very possible to hunt him at this point as a college defender. And that's kind of what Northwestern was doing down the end. They were really testing him, and a lot of the times they're having success, sending him through that elevator doors right there. Couldn't end up getting, forced to miss. But, and again, just trust their tough shot makers to be able to shoot over him. And that's not like a super sustainable formula. And if that's how you have to win, I think that's not the worst thing in the world. But just something to note in terms of Jakucionis' two-way ceiling, where I do think there's just going to be a limit because guys can shoot over him. But hopefully he can be more aggressive at times, like with his hands, or the strength, like I said, is really going to help him. But he did kind of get fried towards the end of this game. But from a long-term evaluation lens, I'm not really bothered by plays like this. I think on-ball defense, even at the highest levels, like you see the best on-ball defenders routinely getting scored on and shot over. So it doesn't particularly concern me, just because it's something that almost no defenders can really handle at the level you think they maybe should. But we're not drafting Jakucionis for his defense. We're drafting him because he is a legit initiator prospect. And Jakucionis, man, early in the season, I am very happy with his play, especially heating up and as a shooter like this. he's a special playmaker too. Like his passing, what was the game where he had a bunch of I think it was maybe the Arkansas game. Or no, it was the Alabama game where he had a bunch of insane passes. Would definitely recommend his highlights from that one. But yeah, Jakucionis is a monster. I have him top 3 right now. I don't know if that's gonna sustain, but yeah, I'm super high on him. I love his game, and I hope you enjoyed this as well.